Hi there. In this episode of the vlog, I'm going to look at how SNP have managed to bankrupt a country. That's right, bankrupt. That means you bring in less money than you spend. Businesses do it, they get called insolvent, and they close them down. So, let's look at the facts. There's a publicly available set of documents each year produced to show the income and expenditure for country. It's called the GERS report. The last one came out, I think, towards the end of August. And there's two very simple figures on it. Shows you one figure of how much the country has generated in income. That's through taxes, North Sea oil, VAT, income tax, all these things that come in the way. And then it shows you a figure of public spending, and that's all the money that's gone out the way. Schools, transport subsidies, running parliaments, running councils, lifting your bins, all of that. And in those figures, we include North Sea oil. Now, I want to talk about North Sea oil for a second, because I've got distinct memories back in 2014 in the run-up to the referendum. People talking about oil in the North Sea like liquid gold. It was going to give us streets of gold and everyone would be a millionaire. Because when you look at the figures, if you look at the cost for a barrel of oil just now, and you look at the amount of barrels of oil that are in the North Sea, you come up with a big massive figure. But that's not the way it works. Because to get that massive figure, you would need to pull all the barrels of oil out the ground just now, and there's costs involved in that, quite significant costs, and you need to sell it all today at today's price. Now, the government don't get that much. Even if you could do that today, you could lift every single barrel of oil out the North Sea, and sell it at no costs. You know, you don't need to pay for oil platforms or oil workers or all these things. Just let's ignore that for a minute. So you're left with this big bundle of money. But we don't get that. The government wouldn't get that, even in an independent Scotland, because the government get the taxes on that money. So when you see these big figures that many were looking to brandish about during the run-up to the independence referendum, it was total bollocks. But people bought into it. However, these GERS figures include the income from North Sea oil, and it's about £9 billion a year, roughly, income from North Sea oil. But that's counted in the figures. And in the latest GERS figures, the income for Scotland was about £87 billion. Massive amount of money. A lot of money. So you could argue a country could run itself quite comfortably from that amount with, about 6 million population. Unfortunately, the expenditure was £106 billion. That's a big gap. That's just under £20 billion shortfall last year. Not COVID, not because of Brexit. In fact, the revenue for Scotland has went up. Now, it's always going to go up from 2020, because 2020 was a disastrous year with COVID. But it's went up on last year. So, this nonsense about Brexit's going to ruin our economy. Didn't quite happen either, did it? Because our revenues went up year on year. And we were told not to leave the EU because that would be a disaster. So Scotland's managed to make and bring in £87 billion last year, 2022 up to 2023, but spend £106 billion. Now, you talk about these figures sometimes, and you actually don't grasp how big it is. And a lot you say £1 billion and £1 billion or £10 billion or £100 billion. But £1 billion is 1,000 million pounds. Now, £1 million is a big number. $1 billion is 1,000 of them. So that means we've spent £106,000 million. We are short of just under 20 billion. That's 20,000 million short. But that means in the UK, if you look at the UK income and outcome, we bring in less than 8%, but we spend over 9. I think it's 9.2% of the British money we spend. So see this thing about getting bled by Westminster? Total bunkum. Not true. But thousands of the cult out there would have you believe that they take all our money. Well, they do take our money because they collect taxes. That's part of the government in Westminster's role. But they also split that money up to different areas in the United Kingdom. And we get 20 billion more than we put in. But the bad people, this Westminster, you know, they only want is for our money. Well, if they only wanted is for the oil, that's another fallacy we're often told, then we're talking about £9 billion. We overspent by nearly double that. So that argument makes total no sense at all. It's total bunkum. But don't let that get in the way of a Scottish nationalist cult member. They only want us for our goal. But here's the other queer thing. See this oil thing? Since the SNP needed to get a coalition government with the Greens, oils became this bad thing. For any fossil fuels have become this horrific thing now, and it's terrible, and we shouldn't have them, and we shouldn't look at new oil fields, and we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. And people are now actually trying to rewrite history. People that were telling me 10 years ago that Scotland could be independent based purely on and solely on oil, now actually tell, no, we didn't do that. No, we didn't. Because you say to these people, well, look, we're getting told that fossil fuels are bad, so if you want to build your economy on something that's reducing, the need for it is reducing. That's a bit of a oh, no. We never once suggested that we should have a country based purely on oil. Well, I've got news for you. You did. You actually did. And to try and rewrite history is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Because oil was the thing. That was the great thing until we needed the Greens. So we can't really say that anymore. Whiskey, that'll be it. Whiskey. Alcohol's a bad thing. We charge more for alcohol in this part of the UK and the rest of the UK because we've got taxes on top of it. We've got taxes on top of that. We've got extra taxes on income tax. So we still can't. We do these things and we still can't balance the books. Incredible. And the Scottish Government budget is due soon, due in a matter of weeks, maybe a week or two. And it was expected that during that budget we would have a 1 billion deficit. Like, we've got all this money that we get up, which is more than we actually generate. So we've got this pile of money, hundreds of billions of pounds, to spend on Scotland. We're £1 billion short, so we were led to believe. There has been suggestions that this current budget will show a 1 billion shortfall, gap, hole. Don't know how we're going to cope, because we've already said we're going to spend all that. You know, the Scottish Government are good at saying free, the word free, they love the word free. They think the word free gives you extra ticks at an election. So that was the sort of accepted shortfall. Black hole, 1 billion, made an arse of it. The true figure looks as if it's going to be 50% more than that. It's expected now by some that it's going to be 1.5 billion, black hole. So let's just take that down to basic numbers, basic language. We get more than we bring in to spend in the public sector. And we still can't get it right. But it's only a 1.5 billion. I mean, does that really matter? It's only, what's that? £1,500 million out. These people are a joke. They can't get education right. They can't get a hold of the rising drug deaths, unfortunately, in this country. Horrific at all these things. Any metric that you want to measure them by, they are absolutely guff. But the cult still love them. But the cults are a reducing number. Every time I put a video out, go and look at the comments. The amount of people that want independence and maybe once did vote SNP in their droves, coming on and commenting my videos, they ain't doing it again. So I can't wait to the next Scottish government elections. I wish they'd done what they asked every time the Labour Party in Westminster changed their leader. They used to shout, he's unelected. They have no mandate to lead. Every time there was a new one, that's what they said. Well, now we've got Humza, Yousaf, I do beg your pardon, who wasn't elected in at an election. So I dare you, do what you expect of the others. Call an election to the Scottish Government, let's sort it out. But I bet you don't. Anyway guys, thanks very much for getting this far in the video. If you've liked it, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and the little bell for notifications and you'll be told when we release another video. But most important of all, have a lovely day.